Welcome back to our discussion of understanding and modifying the code in your first app. Now let's take a look at the layout files that describe the look and feel of the screen displayed by the program. Remember, from the graphic we used to look at app components, the layout XML controls the format of your screen display. So back in Eclipse, let's open the XML file in the Layouts folder. That's contained in your Resources folder, Layout, and it's the Activity Main XML file. Now, there are two ways to look at Layout XML, using the graphic editor and looking at raw XML. The graphical layout is a WYSIWYG, or what you see is what you get, type editor that you'll use along with raw XML code to construct your user interfaces. We're going to study the graphical layout editor in future lessons. For now, we're concentrating on the raw XML code, which is accessed by clicking on the Activity Main XML tab. Note that in XML files, you won't see pop-up explanation windows as you do for Java code. XML, or Extensible Markup Language, is a coding language that defines a set of rules for defining documents in a format that's both human-readable and machine-readable. Android uses XML to structure data for use by Android Java programs and app developers. XML uses tags, such as relative layout in this file, and attributes, such as layout width, to define components such as screen layouts and app characteristics. Think of a tag bound by these angle brackets and the ending tag as a group of attributes used for a specific purpose. As we go through XML files in your app, this structure and these purposes will become clear. If you'd like more background on XML, there's a good Wikipedia article on XML. Just search Wikipedia for XML and it should pop right up. So to examine this XML file, let's start at the top. What this relative layout XML tag does is first declare the type of layout, which in this case is relative layout. That lets child views, such as this text view below, specify their position relative to the parent view or to each other. And more on the different types of layouts in a later lesson. The XML-NS Android and XML-NS Tools statements provide XML namespaces. Thus the letters NS, or namespace, attached to XML. And a namespace provides a mechanism to keep definitions organized and unique. And note that even though the namespace is expressed as a URL, the web pages referenced are not consulted by the compiler, although sometimes they're used as a place to hold information for further explanation about the namespace. The namespace is simply a name used to identify a group of XML definitions. The tool's context set to main activity here lets Android know, among other things, which theme to use during Eclipse screen editing and design. It's not used during runtime. The layout width and height attributes set to match parent will let the width and height of the screen change to the size of the physical screen on the mobile device. And this is important for allowing layouts to change with the different dimensions of different device screens. The text view tag is used to format the Hello World text in the center of the screen. It uses the width and height wrap content attributes to keep the text field the size of the text itself, which helps Android make adjustments to accommodate different screen sizes. It uses the center horizontal and vertical attributes to place the text in the center of the screen. And it uses the text attribute to point to the text string for Hello World. Which brings us to looking at string resources. Remember, from the graphic on app components, string values XML controls the content of your string displays. So let's go over to our folders, open up the values folder, double-click on strings to bring it up in the center window. As with layouts, there's a couple of ways to look at resources like strings. Raw string XML, as we're looking at here, and a resources graphical editor. In the graphical editor, you're given an explanation, a name field, and value field to fill in. and you can use the add, remove, up and down buttons to manage the resources. In this lesson, however, we're going to focus on the raw XML, and we'll come back to this graphic screen in a later lesson to explain more of the details that you see. The XML declaration tag that you see at the top is optional. The Google wizard we used is chosen to include it in this file. It indicates the version of XML and encoding methodology, UTF-8, which stands for Universal Character Set Transformation Format 8-bit. It represents every character in the Unicode character set, and it's become the dominant character encoding methodology for the World Wide Web. String resources are used to separate actual string values from the code that uses them. So, for example, we have our Hello World string specified here. We also have our app name and settings string here. This allows us to be able to do a few important things. First, we can easily make changes to strings. We could change the Hello World text to Hi from San Francisco without changing the Java code that uses it. And there might be multiple references to this text in the Java code. So as a test, let's go ahead and change the text. I'll put in my change. I'll do Hi from San Francisco. And you go ahead and change yours to whatever you like. When you've done that, click Save from the File menu, and then click the Debug button. When you've done that, you can click on the Debug tab, and what we've seen here is I had my virtual device pop up, which you should also see. Looks like an error message window that just popped up. Don't worry about that. It's just telling you that it's waiting to connect to the debugger. So here you see the app screen with the new text, Hi from San Francisco, and you'll see whatever you put in on your app. So let's minimize that and go back to the XML window. Now, having strings grouped together also allows us to organize our strings for easy access and management. A larger app might have dozens or even hundreds of string values. Having them in one place facilitates app and project management. A third reason is that this separation allows us to easily translate the text to other languages. You can send your string file out to a translator for translation to as many different languages as you want. As we'll see in a future lesson, these translated files would be located in values folders with naming conventions for specific countries. For example, values-fr. So if we look down here, this is the default values folder that would be used for any country for which a specific country was not specified. So if we had values for French, we would have a folder named values-fr. We'll take a break here and continue with a look at Style Values XML.